Are we heading into a real estate recession, or is the real estate market as hot as ever? If you're like me paying attention to real estate news, it might be getting a bit difficult to figure out what's really going on with all of these articles pointing in different directions. We're absolutely not in a real estate recession right now. However, there are some recent market changes. Given the recent increase in interest rates, inflation, the Russia war crisis, and maybe even the Disney DeSantis debacle that's going on, it might be easy to assume that the real estate market is going to correct itself and drop in values. However, it's very important to look at the subjective data to see what's really going on. So in this video, I want to share what signs of a shift that we're seeing in this greater Central Florida area and what that means for us as potential home buyers and potential home sellers. Then I'll share my opinion of where I think we're headed in the real estate market over the next year or so. So what are some of the signs of a market shift that we're seeing? First of all, a shift just means a change. We have been at an all-time high in terms of price ranges, and inventory has been at an all-time low over the past couple of years. If you look at this year's data, this is kind of consistent all over the US, is that there are less home sales happening and less home sales going under contract compared to year over year or compared to last year. That's true simply because there is a big lack of inventory. There's just not enough homes to buy. So if that's decreased from last year, it doesn't really mean that the market is going to go down. It doesn't mean that home values are going to go down. Here are some of the signs that we're seeing for shifts in our market. We're seeing an increase in price reductions. That's wherever a homeowner listed their home price, maybe it was way too high over the market value and no one wanted to put it under contract, so they had to reduce their price. Another sign is erratic market behavior. This is where we can see one home sell with multiple offers over asking with only being on the market for a couple of days, kind of like we've been used to over the past couple of years, while another one that's kind of similar on the same street or maybe a couple blocks over doesn't get that many offers or only gets one over 2 or 3 weeks. So it's inconsistencies in this market that make it seem a little bit erratic, which is a sign of a shifting market. One of the biggest signs of a shifting market that we're noticing is that new construction home builders are starting to bring back their incentives. If we rewind to before the pandemic, it was commonplace for builders to offer incentives like closing cost credits or closing cost help, or even free upgrades. Well, when the market became super hot, the builders didn't need to offer incentives for the homes to sell, so they removed them. We're starting to see those finally come back. In addition, we're also seeing that removal of that pesky wait list. If you've shopped for new construction in one of these production communities, then you've probably seen that you have to get on a wait list, and that could take 2, 3, 4, 5 months to even get your name called before going under contract. Well, a lot of the builders are starting to remove that wait list, and there's even an increase in inventory homes available. Those are homes that are near completion or even completed that you can just get under contract and move into. So even with these signs of a market shift, it does not necessarily mean that we could expect home values to decrease or inventory to come back and the market to really change itself. And here's why. If the market was going to decrease in terms of home values, then we would see an increase in inventory or a decrease in demand, or both. And if we look at what's happening in our greater Central Florida area, we do not see that at all. We actually see consistent activity. There was a small dip right when the interest rates took a big increase in the middle of April, but then that came right back. While we are experiencing less activity than we did a year ago, that's only because there's less inventory. There's still a good amount of demand relative to the amount of homes that are available and relative to the amount of homes that are coming to the market. And if we look at the current inventory, there's still only about 1 month of inventory throughout our entire MLS. But remember that real estate is always hyper-local, so it's good to look at, your local area. So if you look at Orange County, you look at Hillsborough County, they're both at about 1 month of inventory. And if you look at South Tampa, it's less than 1 month. And if you look at the city of Winter Park, it's about 1.5 months. While those vary a little bit, they're all extremely low relative to what a balanced market is, which is around 5.5 or 6 months. For us to see prices come down with that low of inventory and the current demand that's going on, it's going to take a long time for that to change, or that change is going to be very gradual. As a potential home seller in a shifting market like this, you want to be very strategic on how you price your home if you're going to list it on the open market. The buyers out there are likely going to be a bit more picky or sensitive to pricing. But on the other end of the spectrum, there's really no reason to give your home away or significantly reduce the value under market value, of course. If you're a buyer in a shifting market like this This could be a great time for you to finally secure that home if you've been having trouble doing so. If you're someone who's been making offers and not getting your offer accepted, then you of all people know how frustrating that could be. This is a time where you might not see as many offers on homes, or even you're the only person making an offer. So I'd encourage you to get out there and try to get that home. But on the other end of the spectrum, do not expect sellers to just be giving their homes away or significantly discounting their prices, because there's still a lot of demand relative to the amount of homes available. So where do I think the market's headed? If there is some kind of economic recession, I think it might be a mild one, or we may even sidestep it. Unless there's some catastrophic event, of course. In real estate, if there is a dip in prices or a market correction, I think that Florida will also be a bit more protected compared to the Northeast or other areas that's more expensive, where people are relocating from to get to Florida. I think that home prices here in Florida will continue to appreciate, but at a much more gradual and normal pace, unlike the last 2 years where we saw 25% year over year growth or increase in prices. I think it might go back down to 5 or 6% over the next couple of years. So there you have my opinion and my take on what's happening in the market right now. If you found this insightful, I appreciate it if you like it, and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. I have a lot of new cool videos coming out really soon. If you're watching this on my newsletter, then thank you all for being a part of the Kris Kennedy team one way or another. And I'll see you all on the next one.